everyone. Welcome to the Postgraduate University Admit interview series. I'm Alifia Sabreen, a second-year EEE student at College of Engineering, Guindy. I'm also a member of the Guindy Times, the official campus magazine of CEG, ACT, and SAP. Today, we're honored to have with us Malavika Govindarajan, a graduate research assistant in neuroscience at Pennsylvania State University. Hello, Malavika. Glad to have you here.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you so much. How are you?
I'm doing fine.
So let's begin. You did your undergraduate degree in industrial biotechnology. What inspired you to pursue a graduate research assistantship in neuroscience?
Neuroscience has always been a latent passion of mine. Back in 10th grade, I had some personal circumstances that related to neuroscience in a weird way. And then in 12th grade, I actually pursued a project on the lateralization of the cerebral hemispheres, which is about the two halves of the brain and how they are interconnected. And that was a pretty interesting experience. So back in 12th grade itself, I had a little bit of inkling towards this part of the life sciences. And then during my second year, I had again chosen neuroscience for an internship. The statement of purpose we had to write, and so that was pretty random back then, but that proved on to be a major life experience. Back then, I did not realize the potential of neuroscience as a developing field. My simple goal was just to work on something that created a greater impact and had far-reaching applications in the future. But during the summer research fellowship program at the Indian Institute of Science, that summer research fellowship program is conducted by the National Institute of Sciences, INS, INSA, NSI. I think I'm saying it wrong. IAS, Indian Academy of Sciences. Yeah, it's conducted by the Indian Academy of Sciences, and out of the 600 or so life sciences students, very few had gotten the neuroscience category, and among them had gotten into Indian Institute of Science, IISc Bangalore, which was pretty epic back in second year. So that was a really defining experience, and those 2 months convinced me that neuroscience was the path that I wanted to explore in the future. One more fact that I read about was in the WHO study a few years back. It was mentioned that Alzheimer's disease has an increased incidence probability by the year of 2050. And it also has a huge economic damage compared to cancer healthcare. And thus, it motivated me to pursue neurological disorders.
That's wonderful, Malavika. Moving on, how did you start preparing for your admission requirements during your undergraduate days?
I was fortunate enough to have had the guidance to pursue a summer internship or research experience opportunities since my first year. During my second and third year, I had applied to multiple internships and summer fellowships and got rejected from many of them. But even these application processes had given me a valuable learning experience, honing my writing skills for statements of purposes or requesting letters of recommendations from our professors. I was also extremely lucky to have the support of my professors, both in this aspect as well as doing a mini project back in my second year with two of my classmates, which led to a publication, as well as the opportunity to work on 2 other publications during the pandemic when in-person research was not possible. One more thing that helped me a lot was critical thinking and scientific curiosity. Ever since I heard about the CTDT project back in my second year, it is, I think, Center for Technological Development and Transfer. Yes, that's correct. So I heard about the CTDT project in my second year, and back then I realized I wanted to pursue such a project in the university, but unfortunately it was not possible during the COVID-19 pandemic. But thinking about what I would like to do if I had such a circumstance also helped me to think critically and figure out how to be more innovative in terms of science and research. So that really helped me a lot.
That's awesome. So, what are some of the challenges you faced during your admission process at Pennsylvania State University?
Some of the challenges included getting the statement of purpose up to task, because what we pursue to be important about our life story or our research experience may not be as important as what others perceive to be important. Some might be more technique oriented, and others might be more scientific thinking oriented. So there's always a disparity, and every statement of purpose will have its own merits and its own demerits. And making sure that you are able to portray yours in a manner that convinces them on why they want to choose you is pretty challenging, to be honest, for anyone, not just me. One more aspect was reaching out to the professors prior to my application. And it was challenging because not reaching out to my professors, it's reaching out to other professors. You always find on the internet some advice or tips that reach out to professors in the universities prior. And many times they will also add that you may not get replies, but when you do, or if you do, that might be helpful. But that didn't work out for me personally. It might have worked out for others, I'm not sure. But when it didn't work out for me, or when they said just apply to the program, we'll figure it out, or yeah, so very vague or generic responses I got. And that time it was really discouraging to me, because I was hoping to get some solid review about where I stand as a candidate who's wanting to apply to your grad program. And the lack of feedback was really bad, really discouraging. And sleep was also a particularly challenging aspect, because the anxiety of getting the job done was there for the first few months, followed by the anticipation and eventually the fear in the next few months. Also, getting the transcripts ready for the applications using World Education Services, WES, or other CGPA conversion methods were also quite challenging because of the pandemic, as well as the lack of accessibility and proper communication channels during the pandemic, as well as now sometimes.
Mm-hmm. But we're really glad that you made it, and you're a role model for the rest of us now.
Oh, please, thank you.
So, what advice would you give students who are looking to pursue research immediately after their undergraduate degree?
So, my first piece of advice, and this is something that has guided me for a long time in life, would be read a lot. And I'm a huge fan of fiction, and that has kept me going for a long time, and it's been my hobby. But reading journal papers for projects or publications helped me learn a lot more about the research fields that I liked and or I didn't like. Even within neuroscience, you have clinical neuroscience, you have theoretical, and there is molecular and cellular neuroscience. There are multiple aspects of each field, and each subcategory and each subtopic would be different in its own way. And it's up to us to figure out which aspect appeals to us the most. We don't have to have everything figured out, but having picture in our mind on where you see yourself working the best within the field of your interest really helps, especially when you're drafting your application materials and everything. My second piece of advice would be keep your eyes peeled for anything that interests you or anything. I learned about the first immortalized human line in my second year due to a YouTube ad about a movie with Morgan Freeman and Oprah Winfrey. Yeah, life is funny in that way. It's ironic. You will never know where you might get inspiration from. But learning about the HeLa cell line back in my second year through serendipitous methods really helped me when I had cellular biology in the future classes. I even wrote an article on it for one of my biotech magazines, our symposium magazines. So it worked out pretty interestingly after that. I also think my love for science fiction led me down the path I am right now, which is why pursuing your hobbies alongside your ambitions is really important. And I would say look for resources actively, both on and off the internet. During my application period, I was initially quite confused on where to begin with. It is a daunting challenge, and there is always a starting problem with many things in life. Two things that helped me here was Reddit and LinkedIn. One might see these to be social media platforms, but they are also vast repositories of information in regards to grad school applications, as well as there are people who are in the same boat as us or in similar situations and who are asking similar questions. And I really found Reddit to be really helpful for GRE in particular. Yeah, a lot of resources were shared and a lot of questions were raised that had proper resolution. Sometimes we may not get the same from other aspects of the internet. So keep looking for resources both on and off the internet, and someday it will come. It will be helpful for sure. Finally, I would say dream bigger. I was not the topper of my class, and I'm definitely not the brightest in my batch, but I had an incredible support system that made me realize that I could certainly aim higher, despite being just an above average student. Imposter syndrome is also quite common in today's world, but you're certainly in a better place than you think you are. So don't let yourself dismiss anything without even trying for it.
Okay. Thank you so much. I'm sure that'll be really helpful for everyone watching. And what kind of work are you involved in, and what are your duties as a graduate research assistant at the Huck Institutes of Life Sciences?
So currently I'm taking classes as well as doing something called rotations, during which I've been part of 2 different laboratories in the last 3 months. In the first lab, which specialized in neuropsychiatric research, I worked on stem cells and Western blots. And Western blots is one of the most fundamental aspects of biotechnology, which is a protein estimation technique. But working with stem cells was pretty exciting. While in the other lab, we worked on neurogenesis, and I worked with the imaging of neurons in fruit fly models. That was also a pretty interesting experience. I could see the neurons under the microscope, which was amazing. Both of these were interesting experiences, of course, but I am currently in my 3rd lab rotation in a neurovirology related focus, which I found pretty unique and exciting to work on, because here there is, it's sort of a combination of immunology of sorts and virology, of course, but you're looking at the neural implications of it, which I find a pretty interesting intersection of some of the important facets of science. So I'm excited to work in the current lab too. I will have to make a decision regarding my laboratory and the end of my rotation term based on the experience I get in these 3 labs and the compatibility of me in the labs as well as the research question.
That's wonderful. This brings us to our last question. What do you think of the Guindy Times initiative to interview graduate students?
I had been pretty excited to hear about this initiative since it would have helped me a lot a year back when I was applying myself. Jokes apart, I think it is a necessary series since this kind of knowledge and encouragement from the alumni would help the current students to take action towards the future. And just like GT's intern diaries and placement series has helped many in the past, including me.
Okay, that's wonderful. So this brings us to the end of the interview. Thank you so much for your valuable time. And despite having a busy schedule, you make time for us. That really means a lot to us.
Oh, no mention, please.
It was wonderful getting to interact with you, and I'm sure lots of the viewers are going to have a lot of valuable takeaways from this interview.
Thank you. I'm glad to hear that.